Hey, welcome to the Blue Garden here, Jay. All right, today we're going to be talking about making food for your plants, food for your fruit trees. I want to show you right here avocado husk, you see, fresh from the tree. Dragon fruit, see, fresh from the tree. Pomelo citrus, the grapefruit tree. Guava. This is the white guava, and we also have some red guava. They kind of look the same, so you're not going to be able to tell the difference there. All right. And then, right here, you got some oranges. All right. So you can see right here, oranges, pomelo. We get so much, you don't really know where to put it. See? In there. All right. And then down here, there's a lot of fruits. All right, so let's take a walk with me. All right, like I said, this episode we're going to be talking about making citrus food. All right, so walk with me over here. What is making food for your fruit plants? What's the difference between making food and fertilizing? All right, so I put a lot of thought into this and what's the difference, and I came up with this analogy. Check out my bird of paradise. These you don't eat. They don't produce fruit, but they look beautiful, and that's all they do. All right, so let's take a look here. All right, the difference between fertilizing your plants and feeding them. What's the difference? All right, if you got a vacant lot with nothing on it, and you build a house, by frame, foundation, you build it all the way up into a living house. You had a vacant lot, there's nothing there. So building the house is like fertilizer. You're fertilizing the land. Fertilizer, where is fertilizer? Manure. You got cow manure, horse manure, chicken manure, pig manure. Basically, it's a feces, all right? Horse manure. You feces, you mix it in with hay or organic material, and you come out with this fertilizer, okay? It's not all just feces. Don't get me wrong. It has organic material. All right? And that's like building the house. Okay, so once the house is constructed, do you need to do that the next year? You've been living in that house for a whole year. Do you have to do construction again? No. But the house has, went through all the weather, rain, snow, ice, cold, wind, tornado, hurricane, earthquake, whatever. And it requires maintenance. You got little cracks. The paint faded. The window cracked and broke. The plumbing plug up. You have to do these little maintenance jobs, all right? Consider that feeding. So once you have established all your plants, your lemon tree is already established, do you need to put a new lemon tree there? No. You have to feed it. All right, so what is feeding? What are we feeding exactly? Well, for that, we have to go down to the ground. And you see there and there, what I got there. That we are feeding the microorganisms. If you look around here in my whole garden, you just see everything's green. Why? The microorganisms are working, okay? they're at work. They work 24/7. They work in the soil. All right, now, there's not an endless supply of nutritional value in the soil. The microorganisms eat it up. And that's why when you're a farmer and you're planting crops, at the end of the planting season, you harvest your crops, what happens? You have to replenish the soil. Why? Because the plants, the microorganisms, everything took all the nutritional value from the soil and they used it up. So you need to replenish all that. So what do farmers do? Nowadays, some of them are doing cover crops. After the harvest, they plant a cover crop and then they let it tip over. They run it over with the tractor and they let it decompose back into the soil, putting back nutrients in the soil. And some are doing the old-fashioned way. They're using chemicals. They're using, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and you spread it all over, just like they've been doing it for centuries. But they're putting back the nutrients back in the soil, either through chemicals or organically, okay? So if you're a small-time farmer, a backyard harvester, you get your fruits. Here's my lemon, the Meyer lemons, all right? So you have to put back in the soil at the end of the planting season. All right, so that's what I'm doing, and this is what I'm trying to teach you or show you. I don't put fertilizer because it does not require the fertilizer. That was a mosquito. It doesn't require fertilizer. It requires food to feed the microorganisms for another planting season. Now, I'm here in 10B planting zone, and we're in November, the last day of November. So I want to get the soil nourished so the microorganisms can do their job coming into spring. So I had to feed these plants in November, December, January. And by February, we do a different type of feeding. And that will be explained in those days, February. But for right now, we need to feed food. All right. So we're not doing manure. We're not fertilizing. We're feeding. So let me see. Well, today I'm going to break it up in different, because I got different fruit trees here. Today we're going to talk about citrus. All right. And then I'm going to make another one for dragon fruits, which is a cactus. And then another one for blueberries. All right. A lot of you guys want to know how I make my food for blueberries. These are my blueberries right here. And so the blueberries here, and then grapes, and then our stone fruits like peaches, nectarines. So those all require different types of food, but for today, the topic is going to be citrus. All right, so let's take a look at that, what I have. Hey, welcome to the Blue Garden. I just finished making a whole bunch of fruit tree food. And be sure to watch the full video on the Blue Garden. Take a look. Here we have all the food for all our fruit trees. Mangoes, avocado, citrus, everything. And then over here we have specifically for the citrus trees, lemon trees, grapefruit, pomelo, and over here we have specifically for blueberries. This is a special blend for blueberries, okay? So we made that. Here's our camera. that we filmed the whole video with. So be sure to watch how we made our food for all our fruit trees. This is for me here at the Blue Garden. All right, thank you so much.
Breaking news now about yet another deadly E. coli outbreak, this one in carrots.
As California-based Grimway Farms is recalling its organic carrots because they say they could possibly be contaminated with E. coli.
Officials confirmed today one resident has died in connection with an E. coli outbreak linked to organic carrots. And has died after an E. coli outbreak involving organic carrots.
All right, welcome. This is Jay from the Blue Garden. There you have it. You see this major recall of E. coli breakout. Now, E. coli comes from the fertilizer, the manure for cows, horses, pigs, goats. If the manure is not processed correctly, you get E. coli. This is what you're growing and putting on your fruits and vegetables. And then if you eat it, what you see here in the news report, this is serious stuff. So this is what people growing don't tell you when they tell you about fertilizing your fruits and vegetables, your soil. These are the deadly outcomes when people don't know what they're doing with the manure. Now, you buy your manure from the box store or whenever farm, thinking that, you know, your cow manure, your horse manure, your goat manure, your chicken manure is all safe. And look what the outcome is. The pathogen is just what's deadly. E. coli is just one pathogen coming from this type of fertilizer. All right, so this is why here in the Blue Garden, we show you the correct way. And I tell you, I'm feeding my fruit trees, feeding my blueberries. Feeding and fertilizing are two different things. I am feeding the microorganisms. All right, so stay tuned for the Blue Garden where you learn more. Thank you. All right, let's go take a look at some video. Now, a short break from our sponsor. We appreciate all your support. Please watch this short sponsor.
Sometimes I get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know, my wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. Just stay tuned for the rest of the show.
Okay, so here is the first ingredient I'm going to put in the barrel. This is a shrimp meal. It is a 660. What that means, your NPK. So you got a 6 on the N, a 6 on the P, and 0 on the K. You can see here how the dust, you don't want to lose that, so that's why I put the lid on it to maintain the dust. Alright, our second ingredient in here is oyster shell. Alright, you can see here how I'm cutting open the bag, and I'm going to put it in the barrel, and you got to make sure you mix it in with the ingredients. You don't want them to layer on top of each other. And again, you need to be careful with the dust, because you're losing product if you let it escape. Now the oyster shell is very good on calcium. A lot of you guys see me using the egg shell. Now you can see this is oyster shell that been pounded down to a powder form, so the microorganisms can take it in. And then we have that. Now you can see the different color here. This is something very special that you should always have, microorganisms. This is called a bio-live. It has live microorganisms. And on the NPK scale, this is a 542. Okay? And like I said, this is very good stuff. This has microorganisms in it. So if you don't have microorganisms established in your soil, you definitely want to use something like this. It's called bio-live. They call it live because it has live microorganisms in it. Very good for your root system, establishing or creating microorganisms in the soil. Now you're going to see right here, I'm going to start cutting the bag and put it in the barrel. And like I said before, you got to make sure you mix it. Take a look at what it looks like. You see it up close? Got a sample part here in my hand, and you can see how granule it is. So this is very important with the granule. The granule helps it when it gets water, it won't be diluted like the powder and go away on runoff. The granule is a slow release that will cause it to leach off slowly, so you won't have full runoff. And like I said, it contains live microorganisms, and you want your microorganisms to stay in the soil, in the ground, near the root system. So this is very important. And again, keep the cover on. Alright, here's the next natural ingredient, and this is called a fish bone meal. And this has a NPK of 412.0. Very important. All these are natural minerals, okay? Very helpful in the soil of all our fruit trees. And let's see here. Show you what it looks like. See that? Again, this is a fish bone meal. See right there? Now I want you to compare that to the next mineral I'm going to put in there. And you'll see, tell me if you see a difference. Alright, here we go. You see the difference here? Not only in color, but also in texture and size. Alright, I'm going to cut the bag here. This is something called azomite. This is a trace mineral. Now, the reason they call it a trace mineral is because it comes in a powder form. There's two kinds of azomites here, and they serve different purposes. Okay, this one is a powder form, and this has an NPK of 0, and the P is 0, and the K is 0.2, so it's 0.2%. All right, so this, you can see there is a powder, and very important that you have all these minerals in the soil. It helps with fruit development and just fighting off diseases. You can see here what it looks like. This is the powder form that will be beneficial to all the microorganisms in there. Here's our next mineral we're going to put in. I hope you guys are keeping track of how many of these I'm putting in there. But you see here, I'm cutting this open, and this is called bone meal. Okay, this has an NPK of 3 on the end. The P, which is the phosphorus, is 15, and the K is 0. So the phosphorus is what helps bind the mineral and help fight off the disease of the plant. You can see there what it looks like, bone meal. Okay, this is very important that the fruit, the plant, get all the required minerals that it needs to produce. Nitrogen is good for growing, flowering. The phosphorus is good for binding and protecting insects from eating it, diseases. And the K, the posh, infuserates both of the nitrogen and the phosphorus, and it helps in the development of the plant nutritional. So here's the next one. Now this one is another azomite, but this one is in a granule form. This one, when you water it, it does not run away, and it stays in there, and it's what's called a slow release. Okay, and again, this one has a, on the NPK, it has a 0 and 0P and a 0.2 on the K. Okay, very important. It does a different job than the other azomite. The other azomite was a trace mineral. This is a granule. You can see here, see those thick grains? This is a slow release. It releases slowly, alright? So you need to remember these two trace minerals, one being a trace and the other one being a granule. The granule is for a slow release. Okay? Here's our next trace mineral, and you can see here, cutting the bag open. Make sure you don't spill anything. And you could get a better pair of scissors because these are not meant for cutting plastic. So it was quite difficult to do that. See here, didn't want to cut. But this next one is meant for the soil nutrients to help bind and give the soil what it needs. This is a dolomite lime. You can see it's in a granule form, and again, granule is for a slow release. This is a dolomite line. Very beneficial. The soil needs all these different types of minerals, especially after 1 year of harvesting fruit. You got to put it back in the soil. Okay. Now this is the next mineral that we're going to put in our blend here. And always remember, one thing I'm not showing too much here is in between these minerals that I'm putting inside the barrel there, I am mixing it by hand. Alright, this one is called a granule humic acid. Okay, granule humic acid. Again, the granule is a slow release. I'll show you a close-up of it very soon right here. And you just noticing that I'm closing the lid to maintain all that dust, because that's material flying. Okay, and the granule, and like I said, it's a humic acid. Very important. And let's take a look at it up close and see what it looks like. There it is. There it is. See the granule. You see how big the grains are? Again, this helps with the slow release. So when you water it, all your landscape is on a slope. So when you water it, you don't want your minerals to run out and leave your root zone. So this is why it's important to have both kinds, granule and the powder form. Here I'm going to show you how I mix it. You can see I just had the scooper in there, reach down there, and just turn it and trying to make it, mixing it by hand. And again, you should be wearing a mask, but you can see how I'm controlling all the dust there. There's hardly any dust flying, and that helps maintain the, and you really don't want to be, inhaling all these dust particles. But again, it's all natural. So even if you do inhale a little bit, it's not going to hurt you. It's all natural, naturally found in the earth, and it's being put back in the earth. This cannot harm you. There is no harsh chemicals or anything of such a kind. It's all organic. Very important. Okay, so we're going to put our next mineral in there. You'll see right here what it looks like. And I'll give you the NPK. And now this one's very important for flowering, for the buds to sprout out. This one's called a feather meal. Now this feather meal is meant to bring out the flowers, and then the flowers turn into a bud. And because this one has a nitrogen of 12, and the P of 0 and the K of 0. So you can see this one is meant to bring out the flower and the bud, so you'll have that fruit available in the springtime. Right now we're in the winter time, and like I said, we need to be feeding all these minerals in there, so you'll be ready in April. Now here's the next mineral I'm putting in the bag, and this one is called a blood meal. And again, very important. You got to understand the timing and what we're main focus is here, to have a good harvest in the springtime. So this blood meal also has a nitrogen of 12, the P of 0, and the K of 0. You can see what it looks like there. So this is very, very important for flowering. Bringing out the flowers become a bud, the bud becomes a fruit. This is what we want in the springtime. We don't add this in the springtime because it's way too late. We need to do it now so it'll be available. Now here's the next mineral. You need to see what it looks like. And this is called a alfalfa meal. Now, the alfalfa meal has an NPK of 2 on the nitrogen, 0 on the phosphorus, this is the P, and a 1 in the K. And you can see here what it looks like. Again, this is a alfalfa meal. And I hope you're keeping track of how many of these minerals I'm putting in there. A lot of people go wrong and only add 1 or 2, and they're adding the 1 or 2 that they should not be using, or they're just guessing. This has no guesswork. If you see my harvest for 2024 and 2023, I did something similar to this. This is the new and improved. Every year I improve it and make it better according to my harvest. Okay, so here's the next mineral ingredient that I'm going to add to the barrel. Make sure to stir it in between. And here we go. This one is our final one. And this has a element, trace mineral in there that is very important. And this one is called rock phosphorus. Okay. And this has an NPK of, on the nitrogen, the N, 0. On the P, the phosphorus has a 3. And on the K, the posh, is a 0. So there you see. And then you'll see right here. Make sure you don't let the dust fly away. Make sure you do this in a windless day. And then I'll show you what it looks like up close. Alright, that's what it looks like up close. You see? Has a lot of nutritional value, and you put it into the soil. Alright, this is all the special blend for making the food for your fruit trees. Hey, you want to grow blueberries twice as big and twice as sweet? Use this technique and you can achieve that as well. Watch the video from the Blue Garden and it'll show you how to do it.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be right